Good afternoon, Internet. Eric Arnold here in what for today is going to be the Sports Barn, and we're going to talk
E-A-G-L-E-S Eagles!
We're going to talk the Philadelphia Eagles, and let me bring in here Mark Arnold, my brother.
Let me tell you why this draft will make the Eagles Super Bowl champions.
That's right. That's what he believes.
And I do.
So we're going to talk, this is going to be a video centric on the Philadelphia Eagles. If this is the first time you're stopping by the channel, the Sports Barn is located very squarely within the influence of the Philadelphia sports teams. So that's who we root for. So I thought we'd do a video about that. If you don't give a shit about the Eagles, then maybe find
Then you suck.
Why don't you come back and check out one of our other videos? How about that? You can't tell the audience they suck. Well, we only have like 25 subscribers.
They know what's up. They know where I'm coming from.
All right. So if you want a good laugh about, especially if you're like let's see, I'm trying to think who we have as far as subscribers go. I know at least one Redskins fan we have a fan that's a subscriber. It's a Redskins fan and a Mets fan. All
Ridiculous.
Yeah, I don't know what to say about that. I don't want to insult him, but wow.
They can be insulted. It's okay.
And we got Raider fans. We got Earl Carey, who's a 49er/Titan fan. Got people from Ohio who really don't have any teams. So I guess at any rate, this is going to be about the Eagles. So if you want to hear about your teams, we're going to make a separate video about that and go over maybe just the NFL draft in general. But the next few minutes are going to be just about the Eagles and how the draft relates to the Eagles. As I said, Mark Arnold, my brother, who between the two of us have probably forgotten more about Philadelphia sports than you know. We are, the Philadelphia Eagles, Super Bowl champions in 2017. I know for you that seems like every day, over and over again. Then 2018, 9-7, made it to the divisional round and lost. And then last year, 9-7 again, NFC champions, lost in the wild card round.
But that's like a big asterisk. With Wentz getting hurt, it's a do-over. Do-over. I want a do-over. Not fair. Give me a do-over. Go back in time. Play that game again. The Eagles win that football game. Then you just don't know. You're going up to Green Bay and you just don't know.
Right. So since the Super Bowl, incredibly average team. 20 wins, 16 losses. These are the facts, unless you want to dispute them.
No, they're the facts. They're the facts. A lot of that was had to do with injuries. You know, and this
right, because no other NFL team has injuries.
Look, you have, let me just talk about the Eagles state in general right now, okay? As far as this draft goes, obviously the Eagles need wide receivers. That has to be their focus. They need to get wideouts. I want to see them take at least 2 wide receivers with those first 3 picks because that's where they got to replenish. And we talked about this a little bit. They've done this in the past. In 1990, when they needed wide receivers, they took 3 wide receivers right in a row, rounds 2, 3, 4, boom, boom, boom. 2 of those guys turned out to be solid citizen starters for the next 5 or 6 years.
Well, I'll say this. I've come closer to your position in the past 24 hours because I actually read some things, I actually did some research, and just, not going strictly by my memory of what the Eagles do or don't do. My previous position was Eagles need defense, because it seems to me every time this team's gotten beaten, it's because they can't stop anybody, particularly in the passing game. I looked up the numbers though, and you know they're good on run defense. Their pass defense isn't great; it's below average, but their offense is not that great either. Which kind of surprised me a little bit. I kind of thought this team had more weapons than maybe, you know, that's how it definitely works when you're a fan, is you think your guy's the best guy in the whole NFL, and while other NFL fans are going, oh, Zach Ertz, we're not really that worried about him.
But if you look at those last 4 games they played last year, they were starting to come on offense and playing a lot more consistent, a lot more solid.
Well, I think that had to do with the fact they were playing teams like the Giants and the Redskins.
You play who you... Nonsense! That's nonsense on that. You play who you play. They still had to win all those games.
Yeah, but I mean, if you score a bunch of points against a bad team, does that mean suddenly you have good offense?
Look,
they sure as hell. Well, I mean, again, it's pointless to talk about the playoff game because we ended up with a 40-year-old guy who hasn't started a game in like 5 years playing. That was, you know, that's an indictment there of, I don't know what happened. You know, that.
Look, the backup.
My view of this team is it's a well-coached team. You know, when you end up with a 40-year-old backup playing in a playoff game, how did that happen? That's a mistake.
Look, there's no question that you know, if you're looking at needs from a, you know, lower level standpoint, the backup quarterback position, yeah, it's probably a need.
So is
you know,
that
we
something?
don't know what Nate Sudfeld is.
So is that
I don't
something?
know what Nate Sudfeld is.
Well, apparently he isn't very good. He couldn't beat out Josh McCown.
But my belief is that Carson Wentz will stay healthy this year.
Okay, that's
I mean,
never happened. That's happened once? 1 out of 4 years?
Regardless, I believe he will. He stayed healthy for 16 games last year. He didn't get hurt until the playoff game on a cheap shot by Clowney.
True, it was a cheap shot, as if, you know, that never happens. But unless they, you know, somehow, well, you know, that's possible now we're talking about it. I want to say, well, you very well could play a whole season and the playoffs and the Super Bowl, and it'd be less than 16 games, which I guess would be good for us, because 16 games is apparently the length that our starting quarterback can stay healthy in a row.
Well, let's look a second where the Eagles are right now. Like I said, they had Deshaun Jackson coming back, so they're going to have him speed at wide receiver at that one spot. Now they still look. They lack depth at wide receiver. Alshon's probably not going to be back, and I'm assuming he's going to be back.
He's not coming back at all?
Well, yeah, but, you know, it takes time for him to recover from that foot injury. I don't think he'll be back until, like, week 8 or 9.
Well,
They're probably going to pup him or whatever.
You're
He'll
right.
be not playing those first 8 games.
And
They need to fill that spot. That's where that wide receiver that they take with that first pick, dude's got to play. He's got to start. He's your guy, other guy on the outside.
See, you're right. You're more right than you think. How about we'll word it that way?
Oh, I'm right. I'm as right as I think I am.
Deshaun Jackson's 33 years old. I think the last guy we had that gave us any kind of credible wide receiver play at that age was Irving Fryer. Am I wrong on that?
No, you're probably right. But the thing about Deshaun is like, look, the guy is a freak. I actually thought he'd lose his speed 4 or 5 years ago. He didn't. He stays fast.
Yeah.
The guy is just a pure athlete.
But he hasn't been that effective for the last 4 or 5 years.
But look what he did. In one game he played, look what he did. He had 8 catches for 150 yards. He had 2 long touchdown catches.
Yeah, and then missed the whole
Extrapolate
rest.
that.
But you can't. He hasn't been able to play.
I can
all
extrapolate
season.
whatever I want.
Yeah, I mean, sure, I can live in fantasy land too. I do all the time. Unfortunately, they don't play the games in Eric's fantasy land.
Look, you know, it's not out of the realm of possibility for Deshaun Jackson to stay healthy for most of the season. You know, if you look back on it, the
But
guy
it's
has
a
been
long
relatively
shot.
healthy. He
Yeah.
hasn't missed that many games.
I don't know. If you look at his production over the last 4 or 5 years, it's just not very impressive.
But look at who's playing with Tampa Bay, crying out loud. They stink.
Well, he played with a good team last year. He managed to play 1 game.
Well, he did. He got hurt.
He got hurt. I just don't think you can count on Deshaun Jackson.
Well, that's why you need wideouts.
Jeffrey, I don't think you can count on him either. I mean, I think the guy made it pretty clear last year that he doesn't want to be here.
Well, now if you listen to Howie Roseman and talk to Alshon, Alshon's all in on winning the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
He's all in on coming back and showing.
Right.
Deshaun Jackson had an Instagram post today where he's backing his guy. It was a picture of Deshaun and Alshon in the end zone.
Whatever. And if the Eagles are 4-4 when he comes off the PUP list, he's not going to be all in. He's
The
going to give
schedule
you the
hasn't
same
even come
effort
out
he
yet,
gave
and
you
I will
last year.
guarantee your audience the Eagles will be better than 4-4. Ridiculous. Don't even believe it, because it won't happen.
At any rate, I mean, I was under the opinion that Zach Ertz was more of a weapon than I think he is.
Zach Ertz is a weapon.
I don't know that he is. I mean, if he's such a weapon, why are we
Zach
9-7
Ertz
and 9-7?
Zach Ertz is the way he's going, he's a borderline Hall of Famer for crying out loud. That's just a fact.
I'm not so sure about that.
Yeah, well, we'll see about that.
I'm not so sure how good you are when your offense consists of just dinking the ball 5 yards over the line to your tight end, and that's all you can do.
But that's not all he can do.
Well, that's not all. Maybe that. Well, I don't know. I mean, that seems to be his whatever you want to call it, average yards per catch. It's not all that exciting.
Zach Ertz can go down the field, go down the seam. He can catch balls 15, 20 yards down the field.
Yeah, I guess. I mean, my overall point is I was surprised at how poor the Eagles' offense ranked in the statistics last year. I was of the mind that these guys were good offensively, and for the past 2 years, they haven't been very good. They've just been just average. Now, of course, that goes to my larger point where I think that's all a function of the quarterback, and that's why I think this team's poised to fall off a cliff.
It's ridiculous.
Because I don't think the quarterback's very good.
It's ridiculous. Carson Wentz is going to lead this team to a Super Bowl. Fact.
We missed
Fact.
it.
Not opinion. Fact.
At the end of the 17 season, we missed our chance. We should have traded that guy and kept Foles. We could have got 3 number ones for him.
Ridiculous.
We can get 3 number ones for him now.
Carson Wentz is going to win them a Super Bowl.
Tomorrow we could trade Carson Wentz and get 3 number ones.
No.
Absolutely.
No.
We can do that.
Carson Wentz is a franchise quarterback. They need him to win the Super Bowl. And that's exactly what they're going to do.
All right, so you're going to say then you're taking a receiver with the first pick. Who would you take? You have a preference? I mean, there's a whole bunch of these guys.
Yeah, sure. My preference is C.D. Lamb, who, if they stay at 21, obviously, he's not going to be there.
So you think he's the top-rated receiver?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Really?
C.D. Lamb's a top-rated guy.
Because
by all accounts, he's a top-rated guy.
What? I mean, on the board here, this is off of ESPN's website. If you've been wondering what this is, we're standing in front of. These are the players ranked by, I don't know. It's on ESPN's website. Does that mean they had some 25-year-old staffer make the list up? Did the great Mel himself make the list up? I have no idea, but it's on their website. So
C.D. Lamb is the guy that can do everything.
They got Jerry Jeudy from Alabama ranked ahead of Lamb.
Who's slipping now because of the concerns about his knees.
I don't want to totally get into next video's topic here, but I could care less for Jeudy or Lamb.
Well, let's go with here's what I think will happen. Okay, right. I don't think the Eagles will trade up. There's been talk of that. The Eagles being aggressive. Howie's even sort of alluded to the fact that, hey, I don't want to have what happened in 2017 and 2019 when you had these deep drafts with running back in 2017 and defensive line last year, and maybe they were just a little bit more passive, kind of hoping that guys would fall, like, oh, well, there's a bunch of good players, we'll wait around, we'll get a good guy. And they didn't. They got stuck. So I think that Howie might be aggressive, but you're talking about giving up a lot. Look, they talked about, hey, I want picks. Well, you're going to have to give up picks to move up from 21 to, about 10, where you might need to be to get that number one rider. You may need to go up to 9 or even 8.
Philadelphia 21. He's saying we have to move up here to 10.
And I've seen they had when they draft, all these positions get values. So it's like, here's the values and the points, and here's how, here's what these picks are worth. So here's what you have to trade to move up. There's just they have to give up way too much to move up, into the top 10 or even like up to 11 where they might need to get. I
don't think any of these really players, at least as far as what I can see, stand out so much that, I'd want to jump up and trade. The Eagles did that already. They did that in 16? When they made the Carson Wentz deal. Right. I think it was a mistake.
That wasn't a mistake.
I don't think that's panned out for him.
That was Howie brilliance. That was, Howie's on the hot seat. But that, the way he moved to get up there back then, that was brilliant. But, to get back to what I think, look, if a guy, let's say a Henry Ruggs falls, he's a guy I would like to take. He's got speed. Speed is what they need. If he starts to slip a little bit, which is possible based on the mocks I've seen and the latest information, Ruggs might slip a little bit. Hey, you trade up not 13 spots, but if you only have to trade up 3 or 4 spots to get your guy, well, now you're talking about something different. That's where I would get aggressive and go up to get the guy that can fill a hole for them.
Yeah.
This is where I want them to take more than one wide receiver, because the wide receiver class is deep. You can get a Ruggs at one spot, and then one of these other guys, will be available.
Yeah, the one receiver that stood out to me that I liked was the kid from TCU, Jalen Rieger. Jalen Rieger, number 1.
And I'd be okay with that.
The only reason I say that is, what do I know about any of this except if I've seen somebody play? I saw Rieger play down in Dallas, played Ohio State. I was at that game. That guy gave us all kind of trouble. And you know who we got in the defensive backfield. We don't have slow-ass jerk-offs. We got real NFL guys back there. And he still gave us all kind of trouble.
You're talking about Ohio State.
Yeah, absolutely Ohio State. He caught at least 6-7 passes, maybe more. I think he had upwards of 100 yards receiving. He was their toughest guy on the field for us. He's gonna, I think, he's not listed here, but I think in ESPN's listed, he's in the top 50. So they've got him maybe, second round.
If they took him at 21, I'd be okay with that. Now there's a guy, depending how the board falls. Look, the Eagles can trade down if they want. You got to have a dance partner to trade down. No. You could trade down, pick up more picks, and still have one of your guys available.
Now here's what I would do. You've heard what he wants. He wants a receiver. I'm not totally against that. It sounds like there's a bunch of these receivers. So I think what I would do is catch your receivers at 2 and 3 maybe. If the board falls the way ESPN has it, and we're down here, and now the Eagles are coming down at 21, I'd take Antoine Winfield. He's from Minnesota. He's a safety. His father went to Ohio State. He was about a 10, 12 year starter in the NFL. I think he went to a couple Pro Bowls. I think he played with Minnesota for a lot of his career. That kid excites me. He has a feel to me of somebody that can step in and make plays. You know, we've been looking for somebody to make some plays in the defense since Brian Dawkins retired.
Look, I don't disagree that they need some playmakers in the defense, but I just feel like with that first pick, you got to go wide receiver.
Yeah, I mean,
I'm not going best player available. I'm going. I need a wide receiver.
See, there we differ. I mean, I want the best player, and not as you know, I don't know if Winfield's the best player or not. I think he's a guy that's going to be a good player in the NFL. I think he's also an area of crying, desperate need for the Eagles. My God, I mean, what do we have at safety? We get Jalen Mills, who plays about 5 games a year. And then Rodney McLeod, who's I think 50 years old.
He's not that old.
Oh, 49?
I think McLeod's like 28.
Oh,
Look, but
all right.
McLeod's a solid citizen for them. But you know, the other safety spot, yeah, now you gotta remember, you know, with the Eagles, with their defensive secondary, it's a very fluid thing. They move guys in and out. You know,
it's fluid because they all stink. They all stink. That's why they move in and out.
You know, that secondary, you know, is better than you give it credit for.
The Oakland Raiders back in the day did move people in and out. You had Lester Hayes, and then you had Mike Haynes on the other side. They did move people in and out.
Look, I agree that I would like to have my 2 starting safeties, and those guys are on the field pretty much all the time, which is pretty much what they've had up to this point, now that Malcolm's gone. So, yeah, I mean, you know, safety is one of those positions that, yeah, they lack a little depth there. Yeah, you got to address it. I'm just not going to address it with my first pick.
Yeah, all right, so the Eagles drafts, as I've covered in a previous video, over the last 5 years have been terrible. Some of the worst drafts in the NFL, and that includes...
I'll concur with that.
That includes the talent and value of Carson Wentz. That's included in there, and they're still one of the worst teams in the league. So this is a draft they absolutely have to nail if they expect to be anywhere near the Super Bowl in the upcoming decade.
That I'll agree with. They need to nail the next 2 drafts. It's very important. Or, you know, 2-3 years down the road, now, you know, you're looking at, you know, you got guys like Brandon Graham, he'll be gone, Fletcher Cox, who knows, but they're going to have some of the better players that aren't there anymore. If you haven't filled that in somehow, and they got problems cap-wise next year, you know, hey, you're going to have a problem. Yeah, that's how you end up, you know, kind of going off the cliff, as you call it.
Yeah, I think this is a hollow team that is...
it's not hollow. Look, if you're just talking this year, it's not hollow. They've got guys that are going to make this team a Super Bowl contender.
All right, so let's get down to that, and then we'll call it a video. What is your 2020 final score? What's the record? Where do they end up?
Well, I think right now I'll call it 11-5.
11-5.
Now 11-5 is not, you know, hey, if you're looking at getting like home field advantage, you know, so, yeah, 11-5 might win you the division, but 11-5 is going to get you playing at home against teams like New Orleans or the 49ers. You know, you've got to be better than that. You've got to be at least 12-4.
So 11-5, losing in the divisional round.
Well, I never said that.
No,
I never said that.
Well, you didn't say anything, of course.
What did you didn't say? I just said 11-5. It puts them at a little bit of a disadvantage.
I said, where do
in the playoffs.
Where do they end up? Do we have another parade down Broad Street, or where do we bury the team? When do we finish?
You're asking me that question now before they draft. So
no, you have to answer. You have to answer the question, or you would be a pussy.
The Philadelphia Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl.
Now, just so you know, that is, I'm going to say, 34 out of 35 straight years. Is that about right?
No.
Oh, okay. With
know
35 out of 35, I think in like 1998, he said they wouldn't win the Super Bowl, or maybe the first of the Reed years.
The Eagles still right now are a talented football team. and they have the ability to win the Super Bowl. So yes, they're going to win the Super Bowl.
All right, so the Eagles are going to win the Super Bowl. I'm going to say they're going to be 10-6 and lose in the wild card round. Now, if there's an extensive quarterback injury, this team could end up 5-11.
Look, a quarterback injury and you got problems. A quarterback injury for any extended period of time,
well, at the moment,
yeah, you're probably looking at
if this
maybe
team,
not making the playoffs.
well, if this
even
team,
with the added team.
if this team gets a credible backup again, I mean, honestly, the best football this team has played in the past 3 years has been with the backup.
I still, you know, I would still sign Joe Flacco as the backup. Yes, Jeff Brown, I would sign Joe Flacco as the backup.
Well, they need somebody. I don't know what the plan is there and what they intend on doing. They're almost certainly going to need him. Yeah, it's hard to tell. But I'll say 10-6, losing the wild card round again. So that's that for this year, 2020. The draft, the Philadelphia Eagles. We're going to do another one here about just the draft in general. So
Now wait a minute. Before we end this video, I have one important mini topic that needs to be brought up.
all right, so you can sign off, subscriber X. I know your attention span has now been exceeded.
Well, Chuck, you listen to this because this is important.
He just outed you. My God.
Now, if Rob Gronkowski thinks he's going to walk into my conference and play with his buddy, then all of a sudden Rob Gronkowski has this need to play again. Oh, I'm going to play football again. Well, I'm going to come down with, you know, Tom Brady and they're going to win down there in Tampa Bay. Are you kidding? Are you kidding? You're going to beat me? You're going to beat the New Orleans Saints? Hell, you're going to beat the Dallas Cowboys? Come on now. Tampa Bay is the most oversold team. Rob Gronkowski is an old man who's injury prone. Tom Brady is an old man who isn't what he used to be. Don't listen to the pundits and the talking heads who are going, oh, Tampa Bay, oh my God, Tom Brady and Rob Gronkowski, and oh my God, what a great offense they have. Yeah, well, their defense stinks. They still don't have an offensive line. Don't buy the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. Don't be so arrogant, Rob Gronkowski. You think you're going to walk into my conference. It's just going to be like you're walking into the AFC East again. You're walking into different territory now. This is my territory. So if you want to step two, bring it. Let's go. Woo! E-F-G-L-E-F, Eagles!
Do we play Tampa Bay?
No, we don't.
Okay.
But if they got to come to my house, or if I have to go down there, we are going to whoop their ass. Fact.
They haven't even announced a schedule yet, have they?
They have not.
Would we play that?
No.
We would not?
We don't play Tampa Bay. We play New Orleans out of the South.
Okay, so if we would have played you, look out. You know,
That's right.
would we have played you? You know?
I'm just saying.
By the time the Eagles, who knows? Sounds like Brady and Gronkowski might play forever. So maybe someday the Eagles will play those guys again. I guess we beat them the last time we played them, or did we? I'm trying to think.
No, we lost.
When
To
was
Tampa?
No, New England.
No, we lost in Philadelphia.
Yeah, I don't know.
We took that 10-0 lead and then we blew it.
Oh, that's right. Was Nick Foles quarterback?
No, I was this year.
Yeah, all right. That doesn't count.
That was when we were having difficulties.
Yeah, that doesn't count. If Nick Foles was there, it would have counted. All right. Well, we're going to make a second video here. So that was the Eagles, Super Bowl champions. I've got them losing in the divisional round 2020. Wide receiver, I think they should take some defense. See what happens. Thanks for being here, and we'll see you again.